Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, welcome to our last tutorial for the EWSE subject. Today we will discuss about reaction time module. Okay, before we start this tutorial, let's play together and the play begins. Enough? So, from the illustration on the screen, it refers to a case study that describes the reaction time. The story is that someone sees a ruler falling, so from there, respondent needs to process some information and remember what to do, whether the ruler is going to be left, or respondent want to catch it so that the ruler doesn't fall. So, from there, in that limited condition, we have to understand how fast we can process the information. Now, this is called reaction time. The objective of the reaction time tutorial is: first, able to understand the concept of reaction time to a stimulus. Second, able to know how to measure reaction time related to long-term memory and short-term memory. Third, able to analyze and implement the use of the short-term memory. And fourth, able to test the difference hypotheses between different reaction time stimuli. This is input and output for the reaction time tutorial, and the input is respondent data and test result data. The output is statistical test result, analysis, and recommendation. This is the human information processing. There are three stages in the information process. First, understand what information is provided by the environment. Second, process the information at the higher level. And third, respond to that information. Okay, we can look at the cognitive of HIP, or Human Information Processing, for the stage 2 information processing. Okay, at the first, we start with sensation. Is the process of receiving stimuli from the sense process by humans, which are then sent to the nerve center. Sensation is the first stage in the function of the sense to represent stimuli from the environment. And next is the information of perception, namely the act of compiling, recognizing an environment. In decision making, a person's perception is influenced by memory. And the last one is action, which is respond to a certain stimulus. This back response becomes certain ones, which are also controlled by the nerve center. For the definition of reaction time is the amount of time it takes a person to respond to a stimulus, which includes the process of receiving the sensation, perception, and action of a stimulus that occurs. When we view from the chart on the screen, it can be seen that the recognition process is carried out in the five senses and then transmitted to the brain. Furthermore, the response process starts from the nerves that receive information from the brain, and then the information is forwarded into an action, or usually we call feedback, from certain stimuli. So, in order to understand more clearly the process from reaction time, let's try to understand the following illustration. In the following picture, it shows that there is a stimulus in the form of a falling ruler. The stimulus forms a sensation in the form of the eye seeing a falling ruler and pass the information to the brain. Furthermore, at the perception stage, the brain will process the information to decide what action to take. In the end, this decision is transmitted to the nerves, which then occurs at the stage of action where the respondent hand catches the ruler. The following is the definition of stimulus, sensation, and action. For its own definition, a stimulus is everything that happens in the environment around us. The stimulus can be in the form of visual, audio, smell, and movement stimuli. The stimulus is captured by the five senses, which, as we know that humans have five senses, right? They are eyes is sight, ear is hearing, nose is smell, tongue is taste, and skin and touch. And for the definition of sensation is process of receiving stimulus by the five senses and passing it on the information center. For example, if we are pinched, it continues to hurt. Well, that means the sensation is pain. Which is pain? From the example, we know that the pinch received by the skin is continuously transmitted to the brain as a pain. Next is a perception process, namely the process by which the brain processes the information received from a stimulus. Or from its own definition, perception is an acceptance step in making decisions about exciting alternative. In decision making, a person's perception is influenced by memory. So, there are three memory components which include first, short-term memory, and second, working memory, and third, long-term memory. Okay, next slide is short-term memory. Short-term memory is fragile memory, can be forgotten before use and disappear within 30 seconds. The result of information processing on short-term memory can be in the form of acoustic, visual, or semantic. Now, we need to know that short-term memory is divided into two stages, namely, first is sensory store. Sensory store, which is a large capacity storage system that records information from the sense accurately. And second is short-term memory. Okay, sensory store. The difference sensory store and short-term memory. Sensory store stimulants can last 2 seconds or less, relatively raw and unprocessed information. Information is very accurate stimulus representation. Information is passively recorded at the sensory store. And then short-term memory stimulants can last 30 seconds. The second, information can be manipulated, for example by repeating, comparing, or changing the order of items. Information is very easily distorted and inaccurate, and information will be actively selected to enter short-term memory. For example, let's say you want to order McD delivery, but you don't know the McD delivery number. Now, your friends open the website, then he sees a series of numbers on the website interface. When he realizes, oh okay, this number, that's what is meant by the sensory store. It's different again when friends have realized, oh, there is a number for McD delivery, 14510. Now, this is what is called short-term memory. Okay, the next is working memory. Working memory, in definition, is a short-term storage that contains a small amount of information that is used actively that serves to increase the capacity of coding, storage, and recall of information processing. And the process, information stored in working memory can be used and stored repeatedly before or while determining the action to be taken. For the capacity, working memory can only store information about 5 to 9 information elements in a short time. Its capacity can only store information about 5 to 9 elements of information in a short time. These chunks of information are commonly referred to as chunks. Okay, continuing the example from the short-term memory earlier. In this working memory page, your friends have assembled and sorted the number that you know earlier. It should be noted that the information obtained in this example is visual. Now, then the brain will determine whether this information will be remembered or not. If it wants to be remembered, then the information will enter the long-term memory. Otherwise, the information will be lost. Long-term memory. Long-term memory, in definition, is a place for storing information that is more permanent and can hold more information. For the process, long-term memory, the storage process at long-term memory takes place through a process of learning and training. Long-term memory capacity, information stored in LTM is stored in a structured manner. In addition, the information stored in long-term memory is stored in a structured manner by means of certain organizational mechanisms. Any information stored in a long-term memory will be arranged in such a way that it has a broader meaning and has a relationship between one information and another. An example of structured information is the storage of information related to names, place, and date of birth. Why? Because usually when we want to fill in biodata, most of the sequence are names, after that the place and date of birth. Well, so every time we will fill in the bio, we'll unconsciously fill it with the same message. So that often this can lead to mistakes when the order is changed. Now the last example for long-term memory. We still continuing from the example of short-term memory and working memory. Here is already a compilation of information, and the information that was obtained already has meaning. In the long-term memory, your friends have remembered that, okay, McD delivery number is 14045. And the last is definition of action. Action is a feedback that is carried out in response to stimulus. Okay, the next types of reaction time experiment. Psychologists have classified the basic types of reaction time experiments into three. First, simple reaction time experiment. In this type of experiment, there is only one stimulus and one response. Example, stimulus is glare and the response is the eyes is closed. Second, recognition reaction time experiment. This experiment involves several stimulus that should be respond to the memory set and involves several other stimuli that should not be respond to the distractor set. Example, suppose someone is playing a game and the game appears color and sounds simultaneously. The instruction in the game is that the person must follow the color that appears and ignore the sound. Now, in that example, the sound is a distraction. And third, choice reaction time experiment. In this experiment, the operator must provide a response that corresponds to the stimulus, such as pressing the key corresponding to a letter if the letter appears on the screen. And next is factor affecting the reaction time. There is 8 factors affecting the reaction time. The first, age. As we know that at older age there is a decrease in muscle strength, so that affects a person's reaction time. But the situation is balanced with better emotional stability than the young workforce, which can have a positive effect on doing work. And the productivity age is between 24 years old and 35 years old. And second is gender. In a study that studied the reaction time of limb movement between men and women, it was found that women react more slowly than men. Third, right and left hand. Each hemisphere of the brain has several different specific tasks. The left hemisphere is thought to be the verbal and logical brain, and the right hemisphere is thought to regulate creativity, social relationship, facial recognition, and emotion. Left-hand people were faster than normal people with right hands. When the test involved the left hand, but there is no difference in reaction time between right and left hand when using the right hand. The researchers conclude that the left hand people had an advantage over reaction time. And fourth, the complexity of the stimulus. The more complex the stimulus, the longer it will take the brain to process it, because humans have limitations in processing information. And 5. Fatigue. Kosinski in 2009 found that the reaction time is lower when the subject is tired. This delay due to fatigue is more pronounced in complicated test reaction times than in simple one. 6. Environmental factor. If you still remember the previous physiology work measurement tutorial, especially in physical work environment module, we know that lighting, temperature, humidity regulation can affect a person's performance. Then it also affects the person reaction time. 7. Psychological factors, which includes mood, pressure, pain dogs, and many more. 8. And the last one, type of stimulus. Many researchers have confirmed that a sound stimulus type is faster than a light stimulus. Okay, Alhamdulillah, we have finished this tutorial video section. I hope all of you can get what I have explained. Please take notes for the part that you still confused, then ask directly in your tutorial class. Thank you for your report, your time, and your dedication for these 4 modules. Good luck!